Hey, greetings. What's going on? How you doing? Greetings to you all. We can up and about and we feel uncomfortable when I come on. It seemed like one pipe bus across the road next door. Why should and the water run up on the hillside? So it constantly the water flow. Hopefully the water commission or them can get a plumber to come fix the pipe. Yeah. Cause a whole heap of water that I go waste. Yes, indeed. We there. I know we do things. We just I will dive straight into the meat of the matter. But with devotional. You understand? And this is your boy, the bald Rasta, the one called Jeremy, coming to your live from Kingston, Jamaica. We're going to look at, wait until it's load up. Okay, Colossians chapter 3, verse 13 says, continue forgiving one another freely. Yes, the Apostle Paul knew. Sometimes people say they not hear what we are saying. Alright, Paul knew that his brothers and sisters in the congregation were imperfect. For example, he was misjudged soon after he started to associate with the church. All right, Acts chapter 9, verse 26. Let's see what that said. On arriving in Jerusalem, he made efforts to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him because they did not believe he was a disciple. Wow. So people are afraid of him. All right, let us take a look at 2 Corinthians 10, verse 10. For they said, his letters are weighty and forceful, but his presence in person is weak and his speech contemptible. Wow. Wow. Such a yeah. Yeah man. Wow. Paul, we've been through a lot here, man. Paul saw a Paul saw a responsible brother making a wrong decision, but that may have stumbled others. Galatians chapter 2, verses 11 and 12. However, when Cephas came to Antioch, I, res- I resisted him face to face because he was clearly in the wrong. For before certain men from James arrived, he used to eat with people of the nations. But when they arrived, he stopped doing this and separated himself, fearing those of the circumcised class. Okay, so these are what Paul went through. Paul and one of Paul's close companions, Mark, greatly disappointed him. Let us take a look at Acts chapter 15, 37, 38. Barnabas was determined to take to take long to take along John, who is called Mark. Paul, however, was not in favor of taking him along with them, seeing that he had departed from them in Pamphylia, and he had not gone with them to do the work. Okay. Paul could have allowed any one of these situations to cause him to refuse to associate with the offenders, yet he maintained a positive view of his brothers and sisters and remained active in Jehovah's service. What helped Paul to persevere? Paul loved his brothers and sisters. Paul's love for others helped him to focus not on their imperfection but on their fine qualities. Love also helped Paul to do what was mentioned in today's text. That is Colossians chapter 3, verse 13, where it says, continue forgiving one another freely. Yeah, man. Forgive thanks and praise to the Most High for such overstanding to the point where we see how Paul didn't let his disappointment of such men and women in the church affect him. All right, let's find some newspaper to look into. I can read some newspaper. That's what's going on, my brother. Pick up yourself. Yes, okay. Read some newspaper right here in Kingston, Jamaica. So what was yesterday? Hmm. All right. Hmm. Which one to start with? Trinidad and Tobago. I will try to carry Trinidad and Tobago. She, Trinidad, Trinidad PM says CARICOM has lost its way. Wow. Out of Spain, Trinidad, Prime Minister Camila Cesar, regional regional and integrational group in CARICOM will not determine the future of her twin island republic, and that is it not a reliable partner at this time. An organization that chooses to disparage our greatest ally, the United States, but leads support to the oh, Morado government headed by a dictator who has imprisoned and killed thousands of civilians and opposition members, as well as threatened two CARICOM members, is one of that has clearly lost its way. Becerra said in a statement. She said that on December 16th, the US government issued a fact shared outlining decision by President Donald Trump to further restrict and limit the entry of certain foreign nationals in the interest of United States national security. The fact shared details and uh, justification for the suspension of entry for immigrants and non-immigrants under the B1, B2 um, male-female visa category referred the historical operation of citizenship by investment programs without residency required in both Dominica and Antigua, Barbuda. I have taken note of the subsequent statement issued by the Bermuda Bureau of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. In its statement, the Bureau expressed concern about the restriction that the US government announced on December 16, 2025. The CISA said that she was advising citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that of Port of Spain it is not okay, sorry, uh, is not a part of this statement and issued by the Bureau of Conference of Heads of Government. Acknowledge the right of the Bureau of Conference to express its views. However, Trinidad and Tobago government maintains its own position on the matter and recognize the sovereignty right of the United States to make decisions in furtherance of its best interests. I hold the view that every sovereign state is responsible for its foreign and domestic policy choices and must be prepared to expect, accept the conforming, conformant consequences. The exercise of power by the United States of America to advance their best interests must therefore be seen as a measured response to the conduct of other nations in the realities of their current environment that they place themselves in a statement CARICOM Bureau made up of prime ministers of Jamaica, Barbados, Grenada, said it had taken note. All right. I couldn't pull them on because I don't want to get jump on. Smash our vehicle. All right, let's see now. Okay. All right, Jamaica, Barbados, and Grenada said it had taken note of the visa situation and that while it recognized that the right of the countries to implement policies regulating entry to their borders, nevertheless, the Bureau expressed concern that this decision was taken without prior consultation, especially in the circumstances of its potential adverse effects on legitimate travel, people to people exchange, and the social and economic well being of these small states. The CARICOM Bureau said it is also concerned about the lack of clarity regarding the status of existing visas after January 1st, 2026. The Bureau urged an early engagement by the United States with the governments of Antigua, Barbuda, the Dominica, Dominia, to clarify the proclamation and address outstanding concerns consistent with the strong and long-standing partnership between the United States of America and CARICOM. CARICOM remains committed to dialogue with and cooperation based on mutual respect, shared interests, and the rules of law as we seek to secure the prosperity of the region and its citizens. It adds, but Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Guston Brown has been critical of the Bureau statement, saying despite being advised by him that the issue was resolved and that it would be sup- superfluous circulating this statement after the fact. CARICOM still went ahead and issued a statement. He said the CARICOM position came especially in consideration of the interior and lukewarm support. Prime Minister Brown also took the opportunity to criticize an unnamed CARICOM leader, saying that it had not it had been brought to my attention that one of our colleagues heads, instead of standing in solidarity, publicly accused us of as in the US administration. I challenge that leader to back her statement with facts. You see, Reed, Antigua, Antigua Brown sheds Caricom's over US visa statement slams unnamed leader in red. Right. Quite a lengthy article here, but something quite interesting to look into. Yes, indeed. The interior and solidarity within the CARICOM continues to undermine the effectiveness of our integration movement. Brown wrote, added that, however, as hardcore integralists and an eternal optimist, I remain hopeful for a stronger and more effective integration movement. In her statement, the Prime Minister praises our government does not bend itself to political ideologies or foreign economic and security policies of any other CARICOM member government. Member governments are free to make decisions in the best interest of their citizens, she said, adding CARICOM is not a reliable partner at this time. In fact, is in fact is that beneath the thin mask of unity, there are many widening facets that, if left unaddressed, will lead to its imposition. The organization is deteriorating rapidly due to poor management, lack of accountability, physical division, the destabilizing policies, private conflicts between regional head leaders and political parties, and the inappropriate meddling in the domestic policies of member states. That's this plain truth. Pasesa said that CARICOM cannot continue to operate in this dysfunctional and self-destructive manner, as it is in a grave disservice to the people of the Caribbean. The CARICOM community must face the moods within the organization with transparency and honesty, hiding behind the glibness of diplomacy, fake solidification, and false narratives is self-defeating. She warned of repercussions for supporting for Madura, addressing we must all live with the consequence of our actions. Our citizens can rest assured that I will always make decisions that put Trinidad and Tobago first, she added. End of article. Wow, she said some strong stuff right here, but something to look into, man. Something to look into. These leaders need to look into what she say honestly and see how they can best address the matter. Let's see what. Okay, something about digging. What am I dig for now? Let's see what am I dig for. Digging deep. Funeral home operators extend grace to grieving families despite mourning losses. Post Melissa. Despite taking a financial hit from Hurricane Melissa and having to navigate damaged infrastructure as well as sorting fuel costs, funeral home operator in the hard-hit Western Jamaica parishes are refusing to let compassion become their casualty of the storm. Let's get into it now. Brethren, come you Romans 10:9. If you declare your Jesus is Lord and okay, that's wonderful to know. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, instead of many are digging deep into already strained profits, margins, and graves to help grieving families give their loved ones lost before, during, and after the Category 5 weather system. A dignified farewell. In Westmoreland, Earl Scott, director of the Scott and Son Funeral Home, said his team has offered discount funeral packages to several families and, in one case, covered the entire cost of a burial for a man who lost his only surviving relative to Hurricane Melissa. Owen Trelawney, Paul Patmore, owner of Patmore's Funeral Home in Lewis River, is extending similar kindness even as his business is racked up more than 600,000 in expenses since the passage of hurricane in October 2025, sorry. I'm gonna try bringing 2026 already. Mighty God of Daniel. Just to keep the bodies preserved with the use of a generator. In St. James, Melvin Oniglade, managing director of Oniglade's Funeral Home, said his staff has also stepped in to cut the costs of funeral packages. Still, he acknowledged that closure remains out of reach for some families who have pleaded for storage extension as they grapple with financial challenges, commenting that operators for extending kindness in the face of adversity. President of the Jamaica Association of Certified Embalmers and Funeral Directors, Calvin Lane, urged his colleagues in hard-hit areas to lend support whenever possible. Hurricane claimed at least 45 lives when it hit southwestern section of Jamaica in October and traveled north on its way to Cuba. 18 of those fatalities were recorded in St. Elizabeth and 15 in Westmoreland and 6 in St. James, 2 each in Hanover and Trelawney, and 1 in St. Anne and Portland. Scott shared that section of the roof of his funeral home in Westmoreland were ripped off by Melissa powerful 185 miles per hour winds, but thankfully the morgue was not destroyed and he's still able to store bodies. He said when he returned to the regular operation, he heard the cries of many families who, having lost their Let me see. I can find back the article. Okay, alright. Hmm. Alright. Okay, let me see, where did when thankfully the mark was not destroyed and he's still able to store bodies. He said when he returned to regular operation, he heard the cries of many families who, having lost their homes, livelihood, could not afford to bury their loved ones. He therefore shared offer funeral packages at a discount rate, not just a family who lost loved ones during the hurricane, but also to people who lost loved ones after and before the onslaught almost 2 months ago. I have been, I have one family right now where the person died and they don't have know when they would be able to do the burial because of financial issues. I'm offering to that person the opportunity of doing the funeral at half price. I see that they are really struggling and they are having problems, so that is why I am offering to help them out. They said they are thinking of doing the burial a week after the Christmas holiday. We have to help out in situation at times because it is really rough on almost everybody, Scott told the Jamaica Observer. He added that he also covered the cost of a burial for a man who lost everything and has no support to bury his brother. He is at a total loss. His home came crumbling down flat, and he is the only person alive and the only one responsible for his brother. I also offered to help him in some parts of the rebuilding of his home, shared Scott. Lynn has commanded the move, urging other members of the industry to do the same if they are in a position to offer assistance. I know Westmoreland in particular would be an area that people would have difficulty. If I was in the case in that area, I would assess the situation, knowing that people are poor and they are have lost just about everything except their lives. We should really offer to assist them, said Lane. He urged relatives of the deceased to make use of the available resources such as the Poor Relief Department within the municipal corporation. Meanwhile, Potmore said that he has incurred his fair share of damage due to the hurricane. I'm sorry. But the morning cost to operate his generator for 24 hours daily is at the top of his list. He could, he told the Sunday Observer. Last Thursday, the Low River was not has not had electricity since October 28th, facing, forcing him to spend 12,000 per day for gas to keep the bodies on ice. That's a big leak. The, that the 12,000 per day. as opposed to the regular electricity bill for the month. The regular light bill for us would be like maybe 120,000 per month. That would be somewhat around 44,000 per day. But now we are going three times the amount right now. Patmore disclosed each year that the experience has caused him to strongly consider switching to solar energy, advocating that funeral homes do the same. I know of a funeral home that are paying like 500,000 for electricity per month. I think those persons just need to go solar. We don't have oil, but we have sunshine, so we need to make use of it. He reasoned. To the morning costs of operation, mounting cost of operation, his generator for electricity is eating into his profits, and he is still recovering from damages sustained to his funeral home. Patmore said, as he not allowed his personal losses to stop him from giving, he shared that he slashed all funeral packages in half for customers who lost their loved ones recently, whether due to the storm or otherwise. The discount price will remain in place until January 2026. He added that where possible, credit plans are set for the grieving families. Our people are suffering, the citizens are suffering. Some people still cannot afford to get back their roof. People can people come into the office just asking for a simple thing like a drop in, and sometimes I just cannot afford to give them because the need is just too great. But this is something that we can do. He said, adding that he is happy to provide any form of support in addition to the need for assistance to cover the cost of burials. Honeygan of Honeygan's funeral home in St. James said he has also received requests to extend the storage time for the bodies to approximately 50 individuals who died before, during, and after the passage of the hurricane. He said he up, up, willingly applied. We we have funerals that were scheduled the week of Melissa, and all the funerals on the week of Melissa were basically put off. Some of the families buried their loved ones the following weekend, but the majority of them cannot. We even had to had a family who said they are not going to be able to bury their family member until April. He told the Sunday Observer that the individual died in early October. He noted that the family faced this reality even with the offer of a 50% discounts on the table. Honeygan said he emphasized with Jamaicans at this difficult time, even as he navigates his losses and shifting challenges due to many of his employees losing their homes. He said he will continue to stand in solidarity with his fellow Jamaicans. At the end of the day, all of us are Jamaicans. It's not all me, myself, or I. going to be hard and fast with someone of my own kind at the point where they won't be able to see their loved ones go down in the grave and proper the right and proper way. I am going to be holding out because of monetary issues. At the end of the day, we have to take care of one another, he reasoned. End of article. Oh, I didn't even know that it was a thing for this draft. Top players to excite the JDA National Championship. And there's a photo here with top draft players, International Grandmaster Wayne Shanes Reed playing a game with newly elected JDA President Top Master Jermaine. Okay, I didn't know say they had an association for this game of draft. It will be a landmark day for the interstellar sports as the Jamaica Drafts Association (JDA) stages national poor pool stakers championship at Port Rodney Sports Club in Discovery Bay in St. Anne on Sunday. The tournament scheduled to run from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. will bring together the island's top players included International Grandmaster Wayne Reed, Federation Master Jermaine Hitchinson, International Master Courtney Thompson, and Top Master Jason Wisdom and Foster. The championship were originally slated for November 30th, 2025 at the Port Oxel Hotel, Crichton Road, Black River, St. Elizabeth. However, Hurricane Melissa dealt a severe blow, damaging the hotel and impacting several prospective sponsors. For a time, it appeared increasingly unlikely that the national championship would even be held this year. Yet, a powerful testament of strategy, leadership, resilience, and collective will, the JDA regrouped, re-strategized, and reimagined the event. Through innovation, planning, and strong partnership, the championship were rescheduled and relocated, ensuring that Jamaica's premier draft event would not be lost to the hurricane. At the heart of the excitement is a top Masters division stake with some of the most accomplished pool stakers players in the region. Uh, Spectators can expect intense battles of foresight, calculation, and nerves as the nation's best compete for supremacy. The championship will begin with registration from 9 to 9:30 a.m., followed by formal opening ceremony 9:30 10. 10 past 10 a.m. while we'll cheered by JDA Vice President Top Master Robinson at Justice of the Peace. The opening ceremony will feature players, official greetings, and presidential address and address from President Director of Sports Development Foundation, Alan Backfield, and a special presentation to IGM Wayne Reed. Competition commences at 10:15 a.m., pause briefly for lunch, and intensifies throughout the afternoon, climaxing at in a grand awards closing ceremony which will be chaired by Top Master Martin Thompson, Orient Thompson. Wow. Jamaica Draft Association has expressed profound appreciation to the Discovery Bay Bauxite Company and the Port Rodney Sports Club for facilitating the use of their venue. Their support, the group says, has been instrumental oops, in ensuring that the championship remain accessible, dignified, and professionally executed. Players playing draft offers numerous cognitive benefits, including improved strategic thinking, problem solving, and critical thinking skills. Research has shown that engaging in mental stimulating activities like draft can reduce the risk of age related cognitive decline and dementia. End of article. Yes, indeed. Wow. I didn't realize, actually, I didn't know that there was a draft. It was a big deal in Jamaica. I didn't know. I said the newspaper may have to read to find out that. My. I didn't know at all. Mm-mm-mm. Didn't know this at all. Let's see if we can find the next article. Holiday treats. It's like donuts. APS says it's moving to prevent rate hike, bringing 6 times higher. Wow. Jamaica Public Service Company is urging that the 7% electricity rate increase approved by the Office of the OUR would have been at least 6 times higher had it not proposed to the regulator that the cost be spread over several months. It would have been worked out to approximately 50%, the electricity provider said in response to the Jamaica Observer query after answering a number of questions on the increase announced last week, which sparked public anger. All right, let's see now the OUR to donation that increase strains from higher generation costs after Hurricane Melissa, which hit sections of Jamaica on October 28th. Disruption, lower cost fuel supply, forcing JPS to use more expensive fuel. The hurricane also reduced electricity sales by approximately 30%, which further pushed up the fuel and independent power provider charges. Customers will see the increase in their December bills, covering November electricity consumption, the OER states. It also explained that it approved a plan to defer a proportion of the increased costs in order to limit the immediate impact on consumers. JPS will recover these deferred amounts gradually over the coming months. For average resident consumer using 165 kWh increase adds approximately 655 to a bill that was approximately about 9,000. In an effort to explain the rationale for these increased, JPS said, additional to the increased cost of generating power, overall electricity use across the island fell. Hurricane disrupted the supply of low-cost fuel and limited the availability of the renewables. This requires temporary use of more expensive fuel and less efficient generating rates to get power to consumers and maintain a stable power system after the hurricane. With many consumers without supply, the fixed cost of generating had to be shared across fewer units of electricity, resulting in higher charges, the company stated. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. It's kind of rough still. Kind of rough. It's kind of rough, man, when you look into it. Point to note that fuel and power generation charges are regulated and must reflect the actual costs incurred for the amount. JPS said it does not retain these amounts as they are paid directly to fuel suppliers, mainly Petrojam and Accelerate Energy, as well as the IPAs. To reduce the immediate impact on consumers, only a portion of these costs was applied to December bills under regulatory approval, with the remainder to be paid over several months, the company added. Mm, okay, I hear what them say. Oh my. Let me see now. Yes, indeed. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Update for the retrieved after vehicle plunged into the Black River. I see a pickup van. Body of a man whose vehicle plunged into the Black River of the Lokovia Bridge being retrieved. The Jamaica Defense Force is reporting that the body of a man whose vehicle plunged into the Black River of the Lokovia Bridge on Friday was retrieved on Saturday afternoon. In a post on Instagram, the JDF said a pickup was recovered with the assistance of divers from the 2nd District Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard. During the recovery operation, one deceased occupant was found trapped inside a vehicle. The Jamaica Defense Force extend its sincere condolences to the family and loved ones of the deceased. During this difficult time, the post read, in part, the victim's ID was not yet been released by the police. Preliminary reports indicate that sometimes between mid-morning and mid-afternoon, the pickup was traveling towards Black River when the driver lost control and it went off into the river. The bridge rail have been compromised for several years and were further deteriorate during the passage of Hurricane Melissa on October 28th. The victim's stepson reportedly managed to swim from the vehicle before it was submerged. End of article. Mm, 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 Francisco. Okay. All the problems are going all over the place, man. Okay. I'm going to go look on this. People are going to pay a toll now in Maypen. No free driving through there anymore. Toll collection from Maypen to Williamsfield set for December 27. Set the JHJ. THJ. All right. Manchester, Jamaica, Jamaica Highway Limited. TJH says toll from Maypen to Williamsfield leg is set to commence within a week's time. Manchester, Jamaica. Oh, okay. Right. In a post on Instagram on Saturday afternoon, TJH said motorists can look forward to a first world roadway supported by 24-hour patrol, consistent maintenance, as it will officially launch operation at that section of the PJ Patterson Highway on December 27, 2025. Our commitment to deliver a safe, reliable, and efficient driving experience across this new section in a manner that is consistent with our offerings on the leg of the Trans-Jam Highway network. In order to deliver these services and sustainable, we will introduce a toll rate structure at both the toll gate, main lane, toll plaza, and the toll gate ramp, toll plaza, the both read in part. Keeping with current practices across all Trans-Jam Highway toll plaza, TTAG users will benefit from low toll rates for every passage, as well as automatic frequent use discounts, including the 10th trip free through each toll plaza each week, the post added. The announcement follows a revelation last Tuesday by the Minister of Transport of the Post proposed toll for the Williamsfield Maple leg of Highway 2000 with the high cost, highest cost is 1,400. Okay. TJH in its post indicated that the cost by vehicles class are class 1 480, class 2 720, and class 3 1,400. T-tag users will pay class 1 470, 700, and class 3 1,400 for the main line, while the toll at the ramp will be half the price per class. End of article. Okay. Okay, dokie. Yes, 117 Canadian line workers added to JP's repair team. Montego Bay, St. James Canadian Mitchell Macy's is no novice to restoring electricity after a disaster, but he knows his latest assignment will not be easy. He is one of 117 line workers who arrived in Jamaica Wednesday night, part of a push to tackle some of the most challenging work needed to get thousands of Jamaica Public Service customers back on the grid. It is going to be the biggest one for me. The biggest one. I was in Florida a few years ago for 21 days. But this one is going to be the biggest mass toll in the Jamaica Observer. He is visiting Jamaica for the first time. He and his colleagues arrived at Sanctuary National Airport in St. James via US private charter flight Sunrise Airlines shortly after 9 p.m. Wednesday night. The group follows a barrage of 67 that arrived on Monday and 44 on Tuesday. Another batch of 120 is expected on the island next Tuesday, a flight with more than 200 pieces of equipment is expected on the island between the 24th and the 25th. It's all part of Jamaica's ongoing effort to recover from the hurricane which ravaged sections of the country on October 28th. Wow. JPS is living up to their commitment based on the arrangement and understanding we have with the funds that we have provided. We're in the Christmas season and the logistics of coordinating and getting everything done still has been done in record time, stated Ministry of Transport, Communication and Energy, Darrell Vaz. We only got cabinet approval 2 Mondays ago, and JPS only got approval from their board last week. So to be in this position tonight is huge, and it is a recommitment of us being able to give the people light. Some by Christmas, some by New Year, and majority by middle of January to the end, he added. Last stated stressed that the work will continue during the holidays, both of his team and JPS. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's time to focus 24/7 until such time as the people get light. JPS is living up to their end of the bargain. Thank you, soldier. Back into our car. Wait, my turn. Oh, bikes. Thank you. Same to you. Yes, indeed. Probably many people don't know still. When you lose so much, well, the hurricane has showed up our island, and the parish is hard hit. So The JPS get some linesmen to come and help them restore power. Some in Christmas and some between New Year's, let's say, and mid-January or the end of January. Mm. No, right now this is the focus on 24/7 till such time people are getting light. JPS is lighting up, living up to the end of the bargain, and the government has provided commitment to the funding. You are seeing the result already, said the minister. He was referencing to a conversation of the US 150 million loan the government of Jamaica made available to JPS to help get the line workers here. After a day of orientation, the batch of Canadians who arrived Wednesday night is expected to start working Friday alongside JPS team within the parishes of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. We have a clear plan where these particular line workers came in with their tools already. The vehicles are expected to get here on the 24th and 25th. We have poles that have to be installed by these workers who will be climbing poles and installing hardware, particularly in areas which are hard to access by some of the larger vehicles. And these are mostly in western parishes, explained JPS President Hugh Grant. We will organize them and they will go ahead and mobilize them so that they can work safely to facilitate timely restoration, particularly for the holiday season. As we know, it is a festive season and people are looking forward to being with their families and loved ones in the midst of devastation, he added. Grant explained the state of the nation in five parishes. In reality, in these parishes, what we are seeing is a redesign, a rebuild, and not restoration, just give the devastation. You have multiple hundreds of poles that are actually down, some of them still in water. So we are actually redesigning and rerouting some of these circuits, which take additional resources and additional equipment in order to get it done as safely and as timely as possible, he said. According to Grant, more than 50 days after the storm, power has been restored to 48% of JPS customers. It's not by chance, it is due to us working 24-hour, having the right process, the right framework in, and having people continue to go above and beyond to safely and reliably deliver quality power to you, our valued customers, said the JPS president and CEO. Grant said the JPS team has solid understanding of the scope of the work to be done. Now there is additional help from overseas. Yes, indeed. we have now taken, let me see, oh yes, sorry, I didn't read that. My jump too far, right? We have made all communities, we have done the damage assessment in all the communities. We have had the presence, walked the line, put our eyes on it, and we know what damages he assured. We have now taken that back and we have done our plan to go ahead and execute. Having addressed resources will allow us to add these resources to the plan to go ahead and execute those. We are working with the Emergency Operations Center and the people in the communities and partner as we go ahead with the restoration grant added. Mhm. End of article. Okie dokie. Yes. Trump administration begins release of spin files. What files are those? Justice Department on Friday begin releasing the long-awaited records from the investigation into the political explosive case of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Spin. Wow. The files are expected to shed light on disgraced financiers' connection with high-profile business executives, celebrities, and politicians, including President Donald Trump. End of article. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Caribbean Electric Utility Service Corporation and the Public Service has received several support from the Caribbean Electric Utility Service Corporation through the organization Disaster Assessment. This regional multi-aid initiative assists Caribbean utilities after major disaster and is now helping JPS restore power to customers across Jamaica following the severe impact of Hurricane Melissa. JPS said more than 540,000 or 77% of JPS customers were left without electricity as a result of the catastrophic damage caused by unprecedented Category 5 hurricane. However, as of Wednesday, December 17, only 16% of JPS customers were still without power. The significant progress we have made with restoration is a direct result of collaboration, partnership, and that define the approach to restoration after Hurricane Melissa, said JPS President COU Grant. Members of Clark Board of Directors will recently in Jamaica where they met JPS leadership, visited affected sites, and engaged with crews in the field. According to Grant, their visit underscores the importance of regional cooperation in strengthening energy resilience and enabling Caribbean utilities to recover more quickly from increasingly severe weather events. With the support of neighboring Caribbean utilities, we have made strategic progress in rebuilding sections of our ex- extensive damaged power infrastructure. The support from our Caribbean neighbors supports our strategy to expedite restoration. We are deeply grateful that like its member utilities and lines workers who have traveled from across the region to assist Jamaica during this difficult time, Grant said. Chairman Wayne Keynes explained that providing support for member utilities is one of our primary roles. Hurricane Melissa remains reminds us that when something happens to any one of our partners, it affects us all. Exists so that no member faces the challenge alone, he explained. We stand with JPS and the people of Jamaica at this critical time. We are proud to be a part of the restoration strategy execution by JPS. Their post hurricane strategy is best in class, with the teams operating at the highest level of professionalism. Like a well-oiled machine, JPS was as ready as could be for the hurricane. But given the magnitude of the Category 5 hurricane, Melissa, they needed additional support and resources to get supplies back to their customers as safely and as quickly as possible. CRA has pledged to remain by JPS side until every household that can safely be reconnected with electricity again, Kane said. Through the CDA and CAR and other partner agencies, including the Caribbean Disaster Management Agency and CDMA, the United Kingdom Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, Germany Agency for International Cooperation, as the deployment of the workers from across the region to support JPS with rebuilding sections of its transmission distribution network and associate with deployment over 170 team members from its member organization. The team on the ground hail from Antigua Electricity Company, Antigua and Angola, Barbados, Bahamas, Belize, British Virgin Islands, Dominica, Bahamas Power Company, Guyana, Grenada, Turks and Caicos, St. Kitts, Trinidad and Tobago. Wow, quite a number of countries pulled together, send their linesmen and other workers to come help because it's really a daunting task JPS on their own couldn't manage. So they're getting help from other Caribbean countries with line workers to help bring power back to the grid in Jamaica here. Yeah, man, end of article. I just left out that part, a little section of it still, but that's how it go. Yeah, man. Yes, indeed. When the moon shines over yonder. Yes, indeed. Love has found its way in their hearts today. Yeah, in our hearts today. Okay, time is 5:34 in Kingston, Jamaica. One no, another man say Rasta must be Jaja. Thank goodness I don't have to wonder. Excuse me. Excuse me. Something. Anyway, I don't think we're gonna make it so long enough. Yeah, we just slide off right here. Thank you so much. Who forward, forward out, upon the live stream. We're not going to get a chance to read the second devotional, but I am grateful and thankful to you all for being here. Yeah, man, big up on yourself. We're gonna sign out. Understood.